Hello everyone! In today's video, I'm going to give you a clear and practical overview of a topic that every business engaged in international trade with Turkey needs to understand: the deadline for bringing export proceeds back into Turkey. If you are exporting goods from Turkey, the central bank's export circular is binding for you. It clearly sets out when export proceeds must be transferred into the country. So let's break it all down simply and clearly. How many days do you have to bring export proceeds into Turkey? Let's start with the most fundamental rule here. Export proceeds must be brought into Turkey within 180 days from the date the physical export takes place. But here is an important detail. This 180-day period is the maximum allowed time. If the importer pays you earlier, then the funds must be transferred to Turkey without delay. What if the payment term exceeds 180 days? Let's say your contract with the buyer sets a payment term longer than 180 days. In that case, the central bank states, after the contractual due date, you have 90 more days to bring the payment into Turkey. However, you must submit documents showing the payment term, such as your contract or pro forma invoice, to your bank. What are transactions exempt from the requirement? Not all transactions are subject to mandatory repatriation. For example, service exports, transit trade, tax-free sales to non-residents, micro-exports, exports up to 5,000 USD under free zone transaction form. And for these types of transactions, you are not required to bring export proceeds into Turkey. These are treated as free-use proceeds. Additionally, for some countries, only 50% of the export amount must be brought in Turkey. What are the country-based exceptions? There are also country-specific rules. For example, the central bank has made special arrangements for exports to Palestine. If properly documented, the export is treated as a Palestine export and follows the related rules. The central bank's export circular also includes these: a list of countries exempt from mandatory repatriation, a list of countries where 50% of the export proceeds are freely disposable, and these exceptions may vary depending on the country and the export type. Hence, if you miss the deadlines. Failing to bring export proceeds into Turkey on time may result in administrative penalties under the applicable regulations. That's why exporters must carefully track payment due dates, correspondence with banks, invoice and contract details. And proper documentation and timely follow-up are essential. Let's look at an example. Imagine a company called Dış Ticaret AŞ, the Foreign Trade Joint Stock Company. It made an export shipment on April 1st. If there is no special payment term, the export proceed must be brought into Turkey within 180 days. If the contract states a 210-day payment term, then the company gets an additional 90 days after the due date. If the company is making micro-exports, there is no obligation to bring the proceeds into Turkey, of course. To summarize, the most important point is this: not all export types follow the same rules. For full details, you should always refer to the central bank's export circular. But remember that for standard goods exports, the main rule is the 180-day deadline. And staying within this period, submitting the correct documents to your bank, and understanding the exceptions will protect your business and ensure a smooth export process, of course. If you are exporting or planning to export, make sure to review the central bank's export circular carefully. And this video provides a summary of the time limits under the current regulations. Please make sure to review the other provisions of the circular as well. If you find this helpful and want to learn more technical trade and compliance topics explained in a simple way, don't forget to subscribe. And see you in next videos. Thanks for watching.